for the inaugural podcast, my friend. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, I guess first we got to explain what the podcast is all about. But before we do that, let's do a little cheers.
Cheers, sir.
To the what are we drinking here?
This is purchased at Vreeland Market in Woodhaven. It's a Scotch from Highland Park 12. It is phenomenal.
I'm a Jaeger guy, so to me this is like champagne
different.
of what is this? Single malt. Cheers.
Delicious.
All right, guys. So OUTRUN, the OUTRUN podcast. You actually asked me last time we had a wine and beer tasting. Edmund, what's this OUTRUN? What's it all about? And the OUTRUN is kind of like a brand, a mindset, kind of a thing that I'm developing to kind of blanket everything I'm doing. So this podcast is mainly to like have friends on like you, my friend Frank, who has like an interesting story, story to tell, a business to talk about, or any kind of advice, just that people would be interested in.
Now I'm sure you're gonna link your previous YouTube video with the kids, my daughter Sam and her boyfriend.
Oh
and
yeah, the photo
that
shoot. Yeah, that's on my YouTube too.
Awesome.
So this will be on the YouTube channel for
awesome.
sure. So that's the clothing brand OUTRUN, and that'll be like a division of this. But mainly I wanted to get my friends on here to kind of tell their story. So starting with you, Frank, you're one of my really good friends that I've known for a long time.
And a couple.
Got a lot of respect for you, and you fit the OUTRUN mindset, I think, to a T. And I'm not going to brag or boast about you, but I hold you in high regard as like a man's man, and somebody I look up to. And you kind of like showed me initially when I was real young what a man should be, what he should act like, and how he should hold himself. So I love having you on as my first guest.
That's awesome. But first we got to share some awesome news, right?
Okay, so all right, we got into the sympathetics, but Frank walks into the house and with a big smile on his face, and he goes, "Have you heard the news?" I said, "What news, man?"
The good news. The good news.
I was like, "What? Did you get married again or something?" So he said, "No, it's a little better than that." And we have a family store, as you know, where the whiskey's from, where the scotch is from. One of our family members, if we should even say that, somebody we know,
a good customer,
hit the lottery. By the time this gets posted, it'll be public knowledge.
For
but
sure.
Right now, we can't say much.
Yeah, we'll just leave it.
Somebody hit a really big jackpot, so we're really excited. So it was a good
really big jackpot, like over $1 million big.
Yeah, over 1.3
like
million.
Making a difference in your life big.
So we started the day pretty cool. So cheers to
him.
Cheers to that again.
Or them, or her, or whoever.
Really cool way to start it.
Awesome.
Frank, so you want to kind of go over kind of your story. I mean, obviously you're an officer for Woodhaven, but go ahead, start from.
I've got almost 29 years in law enforcement. I started back in 1991 when I was quite the kid. Thought I knew everything, didn't know nothing. And I worked at the Grand Trunk Railroad as a railroad police officer for almost 4 years. Great job, but there were some problems with it. So I started looking around to find something that wanted to be in a community. When I was with the railroad, it was pretty cool, but there was you felt like a stepchild, so to speak. You know what I mean? You weren't really attached to a city or anything.
Okay, I've never heard of a railroad officer. So
see, there you go.
Yeah.
What city do you work for? They've diminished it a bit, but you got Conrail, you got C. Grand Trunk is owned by CN. They kind of took them over.
Okay.
But so I did that for, 3.5, 4 years, and then I wanted to find a city, and back when I started, you'd open the free press and the news. The internet wasn't like this,
right,
you know?
Right. It wasn't.
And there'd be 6 pages of police departments advertising for jobs. And I mean, you could go apply to 300-400 on a weekend. It was crazy. So anyways, I got an offer to take the test at Woodhaven when I applied. I had to get a map out because I'd never heard of Woodhaven or Downriver. I grew up on the east side of Detroit.
Okay.
My dad was a 35-year police officer in the city of Detroit, the 9th precinct. So I applied to Woodhaven and I got onto Woodhaven. And this is my last year. I'm planning on checking out, retiring.
Now, is this public news? You're dropping this here? Or is this just something you've been thinking about?
People know. I'm starting to prep for it. Mm-hmm. But it's been a wonderful adventure, and the adventure will continue. It's just going to change a little bit.
That's a new chapter, right?
Yeah.
So the book's not closing, just a new
chapter. It's not. But the reason why you and I started talking about this, and you invited me to this event, is there's one of the things I do at the police department. I started late because I didn't know, but I was lucky enough. One of my coworkers, Jeff Bruss, he's a detective sergeant. Mm-hmm. He would go and on his own, had nothing to do with the department. He would represent the department, but he kind of kept to himself and just did it all on his own, you know. And he went and he would participate in a bicycle ride. And this particular bicycle ride is called the Police Unity Tour. It started in 1997 in Florham Park, New Jersey. Pat Montori was a police officer there, and he wanted to bring some recognition and some observation to the police officers that are killed in the line of duty. So him and about a dozen friends rode their bicycles from Florham Park, New Jersey to Washington, D.C. It's about 320 some miles on bicycles.
When was this? What year is this?
1997 was the inaugural ride. Next year is the 25th anniversary.
Wow, okay. Well, like, the climate of being a police officer or the line of duty has changed drastically from 97 to 2012.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's taken quite a turn.
Yeah, so when you were, or when he was doing this and when this was an idea, it was not nearly as...
The turmoil wasn't there. The
Right.
contempt of cop, as they call it, wasn't there. Police officers were definitely looked at with more respect and treated better than they are now. Now, I'm not saying I've experienced that a ton here, but I'm just talking about on a national level.
Sure.
And we've gone, you know, I hate to say that what happened caused it, but when we had 9/11, police and firemen were held in the highest regard because, you know, how many people, you know, lost their lives there. But what people don't realize, every single year in the United States, we lose on average 150 officers in line of duty deaths, but we lose more by suicide.
Similar to like the military.
Yeah, the military
PTSD.
right now. It's we.
Wow,
My personal,
I don't know.
Oh yeah,
Police officers
it's
suicide like that.
over 200 a year right now.
Wow, just from the PTSD. Is that coming back from military? Is that just
Combination
of things?
Well, I mean, you have PTSD from the stuff you do at
Line of
work.
duty,
Yeah,
sure,
for
sure.
And now every situation might be a little bit different, but the overall scope is it's police officers on average die 7 years earlier than everybody else. It's just a statistical fact.
Yeah, what's the incentive of going in that line of work these days?
I can tell you what you don't do it for.
Yeah, sure. Similar to like teaching. It's a thankless profession that you just kind of do
and it's changed.
To get back.
Teachers, police officers. It used to be when you got into this job, you made decent money and you had great benefits. That's the way it used to be. Not so much the story anymore. But in my experience, at least, most of the guys I work with, they definitely have a love for it. You know, they say we bleed blue. There's some truth to that in the respect that it's ingrained in you. I mean, you and I both go to work for a paycheck. There's no argument there.
Right.
That's part of the reason why we go. You want to put a roof over your house and food on the table.
You want to take care of your family, absolutely.
Yeah. So back to the bike ride. Jeff Bruss one day comes up to me and says, "Hey Frank, I do this bike ride. He tells me what it is. Would you like to do it? Would you go with me?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll go." So time came around next year, and he came back to me, and he goes, "Hey, we're ready. It's coming up." I go, "All right, what do I got to do?" And he goes, "We got a bike ride," and I started laughing. I hadn't been on a bicycle, a 10-speed bicycle, in 20 years.
I was gonna say, right?
I know. So I had a rapport with Al Petrie from Al Petrie and Sons in Woodhaven. They had helped us with some mountain bike stuff that we did for our police department prior. So I went over there and I said, "This is the ride I'm gonna do. What do I need?" And he kind of looks at me and he goes, "Really?" I go, "Yeah." So I got into that bike ride with Jeff, and Jeff's done about 10 of them now. This is going to be my 7th year, and last year we went to, last year and the year before we went to the United Kingdom. And we rode for police officers in the United Kingdom.
Right, I saw that.
And I met some family and some people, and to be an eligible participant, you either have to be a police officer, a retired police officer, or an immediate family of a fallen police officer.
Okay. Do you have a lot of people that ride for fallen?
Yeah, so the group I ride in right now is grown. So it was 12 people back in '97. Last year, I think we had 2,700 officers riding, or 2,700 people riding that ride.
You've got a bus that you take down here. Do you guys?
Yeah, so you know what? With the help of some awesome businesses in town in Woodhaven, we're very blessed that we've got some phenomenal contributors to our cause. We took the old senior citizen bus in Woodhaven, we've refurbished it, and now we've added a trailer. And this will be the 5th year. I think the bus is going down to Washington, D.C.
Awesome.
And we've got 20 plus guys and all their gear, their bicycles and everything.
And you raise money, obviously, too. So it's kind of a fundraising event for the fallen officers' families. for their kids, scholarships, anything like that?
Yeah, when we do the ride here in DC, Jersey to DC, that money goes towards the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial. It pays to keep the wall in Washington, D.C., where we have a memorial. There's over 20,000 names of fallen police. 20,000.
Wow.
They found just recently that in about 3 years, if our average keeps going over 4 years, we're going to run out of room on the wall.
Do you see it trending up, like the deaths, or is it? I mean, it's unfortunate that it's a constant. But where do you see the trending going? And do you see that the violence against police officers?
Well, the violence against police officers is ridiculous. It really is. I mean, look at New York. You get cops sitting in the corner doing paper, and people come up and they shoot. And see, back when I was younger, back when my dad was a cop, nobody had the nads to do that. You had respect. You know what I mean? Because cops were allowed to be cops. Now, if you yell at somebody, they want to file a complaint against you, and it's mind-boggling to me where that's going.
This goes back to my initial point where, as a kid, working in the store, mopping the floors, taking out garbage, you'd come in uniform, and before I knew you as on a personal level, I just knew him as Mr. Frank or Mr. Stankiewicz, and you'd come in uniform and, posture nice and tight, and you were the first man, besides maybe my Uncle Bill, to give me that firm man handshake. And I learned real quick to not give you a soft dead fish handshake. So I got to hold it, look you right in the face, and give you that shake. So that's one thing I do always remember about you, Frank. And everybody that literally meets Frank just immediately goes to that guy has the firmest handshake I've ever seen. So that's part of your aura. But beyond that, the way you carry yourself, Frank, the way you take care of your girls, your family, I got a lot of respect for you. And this Unity Tour thing you do is just another notch on that belt, man.
Well, I'll tell you, it means the world to me, and I didn't know how much it meant until the first year I got down there and I looked at Jeff and I was crying. I wish I would have started as a younger officer because I didn't know how much. I tell people that I try to get involved in it. It recharges my batteries to be a police officer again. It makes me love what I do and makes me feel proud. Because, I hate to say this, but nowadays when I go out in public, I don't wear anything with police on it. I don't tell people I work for the police department. I don't put a sticker on my car because there's that false narrative of what we do, and it's crap.
That us versus them mentality, like why is it a us versus them? Like when you come to an establishment in uniform, oh look out, he's gonna get you, or that whole like, oh he'll put you in jail, be careful son. Like when you talk to your kid, like be scared of the police officers. We shouldn't be afraid of you.
Well, that's that. I tell people, right? They'll come to the police station with their kids and they'll go, can you come out here and can you scare my kid? And I go, no, and then they look at you, well, aren't you supposed to? I said, is scaring your kid, is teaching your kid to be afraid of the police what you really want?
Scaring them straight or something?
I don't know, and I don't want to bring politics into it, but right now the things that come out of these people that are mind-boggling, that try to carry on the narrative that police just go up and arbitrarily shoot people for no reason. That's insane. I can tell you what, I know a lot of officers that have been involved in fatal shootings, and I guarantee you 100% of the time that's the last thing they ever want to do. Because you know what, they got to go home, they got to tell their family about it, they got to tell their kids about it, they got to go to work, it's nothing they want any part of. So that narrative of the police are going to shoot you is just crap. But so I do this bike ride. And the first couple of years you ride in honor of an officer, so you actually put a picture and some information on your bicycle and you ride in that officer's honor. And you wear a bracelet with his name and his end of watch date on it, and a lot of times the family will go down there and you'll present this stuff to the family. Well, unfortunately, there was a family I became friends with due to the fact that their husband or their dad was shot and killed. Matt Taylor was Corporal Taylor, or Corporal Edwards was Officer Taylor, and he got shot and killed, and I rode in his honor. So I became very good friends with his kids, with his wife, and every year since it's happened, the family's gone to Washington, D.C. and paid their respects. So their dad's name, so he's never forgotten. That's our motto. We have two mottos. We ride for those who died and never forgotten. So I met Matt, but I didn't really know him very well. The loss stung though, because it's close to home and everything. Well, I rode when we got the bus for the first 2 years on the bus, and the year prior, I had met a young, just vivacious, go-getting, hard-charging kid from Wayne State Colin Rose, and his energy and enthusiasm reminded me of him when I was that age. He would never. Everybody had to train for this 300 plus bike, and he'd get on the bike and said, "I haven't taken my bike out of my garage yet." You know, he goes, "I don't need," and he'd ride circles around us.
I actually didn't. Colin Rose definitely rings a bell, and I didn't know you knew him before the incident.
Well, so I rode with him, and in November of 2016, he got shot in the head, and he was killed. And it was horrible because all the people that I rode bikes with, we all are the rapport and the relationship I have with these people is amazing.
Sure.
And I could call them anytime, anywhere. If I need something, they're there for me. Well, then somebody who we ride with and who we're friends with, he got shot, and it was horrific.
Literally for the cause you guys ride for. That's
well, and now let me tell you, him and Chris Powell. Chris Powell is at Wayne State, and Chris Powell is now the president of the Colin Rose. They created a foundation, and they go out and they give so much to fallen police officers, remembering officers that have been killed. They give scholarships to school. They do a ton. Colin was a canine handler and an avid dog lover, and they give tons and tons of stuff to police canines and programs all around. I'll give you some stuff you can link it on.
Absolutely.
So Colin got killed, and that crushed all of us. Wow. I hate to say there was something good out of it, but Colin was a huge champion of the cause. He would put his uniform on and pay money out of his pocket and go all over the country to stand up at funerals for officers that got killed. And I watched him do it over and over and over. I'm like, I mean, it was ingrained in his heart. You know what I mean?
And he was young. I mean,
yeah, he was in his 20s, and it's heartbreaking. And so the year before he got killed, he got engaged at the police memorial wall when we rode our bikes in.
Wow.
Now the following year, and I give her all the credit in the world. Nikki came and rode in his place.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah, and she's rode every year since. And she never, like me, hadn't been on a bike, trained her ass off, got out there with us, and what's crazy is her and I had a conversation last year. Because of Colin's death, the friendships that we've all created came out of somebody who was just the friendliest, nicest guy in the world. So it wasn't in vain, you know. I mean, don't get me wrong. If we could unring that bell, there's not one of us that wouldn't.
Right.
But there's a lot of people that have really taken that loss and done something to make him proud and make his memory thrive.
Sure.
The stuff that Chris is doing at Wayne State is second to none. They do just and they're getting to become nationally renowned because they've really got their shit together.
I remember when that happened, when that incident happened in Wayne State, and it was just people were distraught because it was such a senseless act of violence. He wasn't going into a home or doing any type of like.
He just walked up to a guy on a bicycle. No, he walked up to a guy on a bicycle in an area where they had some motor vehicle break-ins, and as he walked up to him, the guy had a gun in his hand, and there was nothing he could do, and he just turned and shot him and killed him. And yeah. But
not to speak too much on this, but I do want to touch on this really quick because I was one of those people where I would see a 10-second clip on Facebook or whatever, and I'd be like, Frank, what's this officer doing here? Like, what's the issue?
I remember some of those conversations we've had, yeah.
Because you're a good friend of mine, and I would ask you openly, and I'd say,
and I'd tell you if that was wrong, it was wrong. But
so I would ask your opinion on these things, but you never see the first 30 seconds or the 10 seconds before this incident. So these were all like pulled out of context, and it paints the officer in a bad light.
There is one that I saw, and I did the same thing you're talking about. Officers running up to a guy, they're chasing him rather. They jump out of the car, the one officer runs up, and it looks like the officer just points his gun out and executes him.
Right.
And I saw the video, and I went, holy shit.
Right.
I said, well, what's going on there? You know, I'm looking at the video, and I'm just flabbergasted. They show the other video from the other police car, and when he's running up to him, the guy's got a gun in his hand, and I can't see it because it's from the... And he goes like this, and he sees it, and he defends himself.
Right.
Now, watching that video, I'm like, oh my God, did you... But, you know, so I tell people, just because you saw one video,
right.
just because you saw one clip it, don't judged quite yet.
And within a nanosecond, you have to make decisions, and most people are like, "Oh, shoot the leg, shoot this, disable him." That's not what's going through your mind. You're trying to.
Well, most of the time, you're trying to stay alive.
Sure.
And so, guess what? The rules are kind of off. When you're trying to stay alive, I'll throw the Jaeger machine over there. I mean, it is what it is, right?
Yeah. So yeah, not to joke about it, but yeah, it's life or death, and it's really instantaneous.
And people, it's easy for me to sit in front of a video and watch the video 20 times.
An armchair.
And have an opinion. It's a lot different. There was an activist that I saw this story that a news channel did, and they did a great job. But there was a shooting, and the activist was out there, and he had a ton of people marching, and they're like, take his badge, he's got to go to prison.
Cancel culture.
And they took that activist, and the local police department invited him to go through some shoot, don't shoot scenarios.
I remember this, okay. Yeah.
And you know what? The activist shot a cop, and then everybody goes, hey, wait, what'd you do? He didn't have a weapon? And he goes, well, he was in my space. And you just saw it clicked, and he goes, and I got to give the guy some kudos.
Yeah.
He goes, you know what? I was wrong.
He admitted to it, yeah.
He did. He owned it. And any man that cannot own a mistake, to me, I can respect.
Here leads me to my next point of people learning from their mistakes, learning from their past opinions, their things that they've said or done. We're not like wired one way. That for the next, I'm 35 years old. I don't think the same that I thought when I was 30, let alone 20.
Life experience will change that thought process a lot.
So absolutely, people are pulling these tweets from when somebody was 20 years old, 30 years old, and saying, this guy's either this or that or a bad person. I'm not the same person I was last year, let alone the same person I was 10 years ago.
I agree.
And the decisions you make, and you can learn. Admit your faults, admit your actions.
Last time I checked, I don't know anybody's perfect.
Right. So
I mean,
anyway, to move on past that, so you've got the bike ride. My question to you is do you have any other things you want to do, like triathlons, marathons, anything? Now that you're doing these long distance, these are like 100-mile bike rides.
We usually, our max is, I think we did 105 one of the rides in a single day. No on the running, because I got my knee replaced 10 years ago.
Okay.
So there's zero running. And I see once in a while at the gym. I like the gym, but right now I just concentrate. Now Jeff and I we're talking about doing some.
Get you on the game a little bit. Go ahead.
Jeff and I were talking about doing some other rides. There's a new ride coming up. It's a across Michigan ride. They've got a trail that goes from one side to the other.
Okay, horizontal.
It's 275 miles. But so in August, I ride with a group called the Michigan Police Unity Team. It's out of the Lansing area. And last year we had the first ever ride. We rode from St. Joe's to Petoskey. It was about 365 miles over 4 days.
Where's St. Joe's?
St. Joe's is down here,
okay.
And we rode to here in 4 days. And it was a bear of a ride, but what was really cool, in the other ride I go with 500 or 600 people. With this ride there was 12 of us on the bikes.
Wow. And
so it changed the dynamic, and all police officers.
I was going to say, who's motorcading you though? Like, are you getting some kind of protection?
Well, this one, it was our first time, so we really winged it a bit, let me tell you. So the purpose of that ride, Andrea Arrington is the president of My Cops. So COPS is Concerns of Police Survivors, and My is Michigan. Mm-hmm. So she's the president of the Michigan chapter. Her brother, Scott Stewart, was killed. He was a police officer in the 9th Precinct, ironically where my father worked. Her now brother-in-law is the boss at the 9th Precinct. So it's weird how that all,
Sure. Yeah.
So anyways, we went and did this ride last year. Now this year, I think we've got about 50 or 40 officers riding. So we're going to try to grow it. But because the neat thing about that is all the fundraising that we do, that money stays here and it goes to Michigan families. For example, if somebody is unfortunately loses their life by whatever means, somebody from that organization is dispatched out to the house. And if they have to go to a funeral, there's a lot going on. They don't know, you need food, we're going to help you with food. Mm-hmm. You need a suit, we're going to buy your kid. You know what I mean? You do what you can to make an absolutely unbearable situation.
Sure.
So you don't got to worry about that kind of crap,
What I notice in the culture now are like fast-paced 24-hour turnaround on things. You see something incredibly sad, like an officer loses his life, the family's left to kind of handle this, and you feel bad. You share a like, maybe you share the story, you comment on it. By the next day, it's forgotten to you, but the family still has to deal with it. So what you guys do is kind of step in to take care of that.
Well, they help. they help with. I mean, you
you can't undo it. But
and you know what? It's an unfortunate club, so to speak. They have wives clubs, they have kids clubs, they have yearly events in Washington D.C. They do where they go on retreats. Thing is, nobody wants to be part of that, and once you're in it, you're in it. You know. But you're talking to somebody who's there, who's experienced it, and you really lean on each other to get you through probably one of the worst things you could possibly ever imagine happening.
No, I don't understand. Not to call out the entire Woodhaven PD, but I don't understand why don't your entire PD kind of participate in this kind of deal? Like,
well, first of all, logistically, everybody couldn't participate because everybody can't leave work for a week when I go on a bike.
So does everybody kind of like draw, and like there's only a certain amount of slots that somebody from the PD can?
You know, we've never had more people want to do it than we were able to let do it.
Sure.
But you know, you got to understand too. I did it later when my kids were growing up. You got little kids at home, it gets hard. Yeah. You know, maybe you know the office. I mean, you know, we go through. You know, we've got old and young, and we're always changing. Well, then you always got new kids being born into the family. But you know what? You can't get it's
not only 1 week of training; it's weeks of training before this thing, right?
No, more than weeks.
Months.
Yeah, yeah. It's some of the guys that I ride with do triathlons, do all these crazy rides. You can spend a little bit of money on your equipment too. You know.
I'm having a guy on next week, an ex-Marine who does 100-mile ultra marathon running.
Yeah, see, I take my hat off to that guy. That's mind-boggling to me.
That's the same to me.
That's just freaking ridiculous. I mean, hey, God bless him.
I'm excited to meet him and hear his story, but apparently he's 200 pounds, jacked, and runs 100-mile marathons. Because I always thought marathon runners were like these really slender, 130-pound guys that are really lanky and slender.
Finally, because of my buddy Mr. L. Petrie and my buddy Jason Sloan. Jason's a retired officer and now works for another agency. Those guys have been teaching me all the things I've been doing wrong. Last year I rode, I ride, and then my buddy at the bike shop says, yeah, those are all garbage miles. I go, garbage miles? And he goes, you're not riding with the purpose. He goes, you can't just get on your bike and ride. You got to have a plan. And since I'm listening to these guys and I'm training a lot better, I think it's going to really improve. But one of the things you do is you create watts when you ride a bike or when you do anything. Mm-hmm. If I do a particular amount of pedaling and I weigh 200 pounds, I get X amount of watts. If I weigh 150, my watts goes way up. So your guy that runs, that carrying 200 pounds around like that, that's a challenge, man. The same... He could ride it or run it, and then another guy that's 160 pounds could run it. The guy doing 160 got to work way less than that guy does.
Sure, I mean, you're carrying a 40-pound rucksack on your back, essentially. Yeah. If you're a 150-pound guy with a rucksack on. I'm excited to hear his story, but I couldn't do it. So I'm kind of inspired. I am inspired by your story, but I want to do something like that. So I don't know about a 100-mile bike ride, but I definitely want to push myself a little bit and do something in the coming year, whether it be a 5K, 5Ks are cake, but a half marathon or a full marathon. I know you don't run, but maybe we could do, maybe Detroit has like a bike.
There's tons of things we can do. So
you know what I went through with this procedure I had.
Right.
So we're at the 2-month mark. We're at 8 weeks out. For people that don't know, I had a partial colostomy. No, not colostomy bag. Anyway, they removed a foot of my colon. They were for fear of cancer or tumor. And I spoke to you before. I said, Frank, what do you think?
Talking to you, yeah.
We were at the store, and I said, Frank, if you were me, what would you do? It's about a month of recovery, and then this and that. He said, Edmund, do it, get it over with.
Well, you're young and you're healthy, and you can recover easier, or much easier than you can when you're, 50, like where I'm at.
That's where my doctor's head was at, and she said, let's do it now. It wasn't 100% cancer, 100% tumor. It was the possibility of it becoming something, and I didn't want to wait for it to become something.
Well, that's something that's pretty heavy to weigh on your mind. If you're always wondering, am I going to wake up today? Am I going to wake up? You know what I mean?
And I don't want to be like cliche, but it really changes your outlook on day-to-day bullshit that people complain about.
When you're your age, we don't think that we think we're invincible.
Invincible, exactly.
And we think we're going to, hey, I got 30, 40, 50 more years to live. It don't matter. But then when the somebody comes and looks at you and says, hey, look, dude, this could end your game, man. And you go, oh, wait a minute, now what do I got to do, right?
I went in for the colonoscopy, which if you don't know, normal people get colonoscopies at 50. My family, we have a history of colon cancer. We get them at 30. So I was 35 when I had it, just a few months ago. And I was expecting to go in there. I was leaving my job, so I know my insurance was running out. I said, let's just get this taken care of so I can get that checked off the list. I wake up, my mom's sitting there, the doctor's sitting there, and she's like, yeah, so I found a polyp I wasn't able to remove, so we're going to have to go in there and manually remove it. That's not what I wanted to wake up to. So my uncles have had polyps. It's usually like take a little scissors, they pull the thing out, have a nice day, go home, eat some burgers.
Very familiar, yep.
So I was like, okay, so I go home and I Google.
Which is the worst thing you could have done.
I see all these pictures of fucking scary cancer things. And yeah, I didn't sleep well for a day or two. And then, so I went in for a follow-up colonoscopy. They found a little bit more. They found inflamed tissue, had second opinion. They said, do it. So I went and did it. I feel great now. I'm 2 months out. I got my weight back. I feel good. But I do have a way better outlook on life. Like this whole thing, me and you sitting across from each other right now doing this. I wanted to do it at some point. Maybe I'll do it. I'll put it off. Now I'm like, let's fucking do it.
Well, because here's a simple reality that we all hate to admit, but tomorrow's not promised.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, in my occupation, it's we see, we literally watch it, and you have these plans, and then you're like, well, shit, that's not gonna happen now. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it gives you a little bit, I think, maybe some more incentive to run with your clothes.
Yeah,
outrun, I mean, to literally go, I'm not going to wait, I'm going to go make something happen.
Sure.
I'm not going to wait for someone to come and knock on my door and say, I want to offer you a job, you're going to go make it. You're going to make it happen right now.
My brother was like, I help him with his boat on the weekends, and I go down there and help him out, and he goes, what are you trying to do for your new business? You just want to sell t-shirts? Is that what you want to do? And I was like, that's like a small part of it, that's a little part of it. But more than that, it's like, it's a mindset, it's an idea, it's something that I'm passionate about, that I'm excited about. Obviously, you know that I'm into fitness. It's just another thing I'm going to do. I'm not going all in on it. If that works, then great. If this podcast pops off, then fantastic.
Well, like you and I
but I'm going to attempt it.
Yeah, and you and I talked about it. It's not just, like you said, you're not selling t-shirts. You're selling a thing. You're selling an adventure. You're selling a way of life.
Right, a lifestyle.
And that's huge.
I'm kind of like giving, I don't want to say like giving a... It's really cliche when you try to explain what a brand is, but it's something that I gravitate to, that I feel like you live the OUTRUN lifestyle, which is doing more than the handy or dough.
Well,
trying to upgrade.
A minute, because we haven't talked about this yet, so I don't know the answer to this question.
Sure.
Where did you get the name? How did you come up with it?
All right, so brass tacks name. So clothing line to me, I've been thinking about for the last 10 years, and every name I've ever thought about, dreamt about, was taken. You Google a name, somebody has it. You Instagram it, somebody has the Instagram handle. So I've gone through iterations, tons. So I'm driving to work, my job that I left, and I drive an hour drive to work, so all I see is billboards.
Sure.
And one of the billboards on the bottom was a company called OUTFRONT, which is a media agency that takes your brand and puts it on a giant billboard, charges you. That was their company, OUTFRONT. And I said, OUTFRONT. So in my head, I'm driving to work. I'm like, man, being out front, that means like, leading the pack, head of the spear, tip of the spear kind of thing. I was like, that's really cool, out front. Like, we're out front of everybody else. And then I started, throwing some names on that and trying to mix it up, and I land on OUTRUN. And outrunning is obviously leading the pack, coming in first, just doing better than your current situation. So I was like, wow, that fits fitness, because you're going to do the best you can on that day.
Absolutely.
Make yourself better that day, whether it be training on your bike or lifting weights or whatever it is. You're trying to lose weight, trying to gain weight. I was always a scrawny kid. You knew me when I was little.
Yeah, I remember one day I looked and went, who the hell is that?
So I was knocking, and at the store, Frank knows me at, so at the store I was known as the skinny kid. Hey, who's that skinny kid? Oh, your skinny cousin, skinny. I even have a really good Mexican friend of mine, he calls me Flaco. And I asked him, what's Flaco? And he goes, skinny. Skinny. I said, you asshole, I don't like that. That's like calling a fat girl fat. Don't call me skinny. So I hated being skinny. I wanted to gain weight. That's what got me into weightlifting. It's got me into training. Sure. I wanted to put on size. So OUTRUN fit that capacity. But then also business-wise, I didn't want to just work at the liquor store, which is great. It's giving me everything I have. I love it. But I want more. I want to do more. I want to be more. So outrunning yourself in business, in fitness, and in like, you don't have to sound.
Yeah, I thought I had it muted.
Was that one of the many?
my flaws
fans,
with technology.
many fans of Frank.
Yeah.
But we got to touch on your fandom of technology. You have more gadgets and tech and things in your house than I have, and you obviously have an Apple Watch too. So
you know, and as I touched on before, I'm an Apple guy. So I the biggest reason I stuck with Apple in the beginning, my kids had Apple phones and I could FaceTime with them. Mm-hmm. That was it. But then I kind of became a fan of it. And I've got the Apple computer and the Apple iPad, and the real big reason is I got a new bike trainer. It's called a smart trainer. Mm-hmm. So it's all Bluetooth technology. I connect my bike to it. I can train all winter long in my basement. I use my laptop as a video screen, and then I watch movies because I ride for long rides, and you get bored when your bike's not going anywhere. Mm-hmm. But I started looking at some of the smartwatch stuff. Yeah. Because it tells you so much information, and it actually, when I'm bike riding, it takes my heart rate and it plugs it into the program.
So now you're wearing the heart rate monitor?
No, that's a heart rate monitor
that
works.
Okay.
And it puts it in my Strava. I mean, it's.
You're dropping all these names.
I know. Its ecosystem is just so friendly to work with other stuff.
So there's a problem with that ecosystem. You touch on that. The Apple ecosystem. They say the garden has high walls, right? So once you're in it, it's beautiful. It's fantastic. But don't ever try to get out.
But the thing is, at least in my experience, and there's plenty of smarter people out there than me with this stuff, it's the most friendly system, though, in the respect that
works.
It integrates with everything.
It just works.
I mean, the other day, I talked to I don't know how it happened, I swear to God, but I talked to my phone, and it turned my lights on. Because I asked it to, but I didn't know that actually happened, but it worked.
How long did it take you to set that system up?
I didn't set it up.
Even before then, so yeah. So.
So even now at home, though, I don't have a stereo. I have wireless speakers, and that's my stereo. That's my receiver. It's just, but see, that's kind of been a hobby for me.
You've always been into these guys. The last house you had, you told me, Edmund, you need to get the Sonos system.
Yep.
And your favorite thing to do when I come over, Edmund, check this out. Come here. Check it. Does that sound fucking crazy? And now you have a home theater in your basement, which is by far the craziest setup.
You know,
and I know you're gonna put your spin on that. You adopted it. You bought into it, but you're gonna upgrade it.
And I'm upgrading that, but I'm also changing the. You know what's neat is I've been able to put some. My dad is the same name as me. We're both Francis Zenkevich. His middle name is Xavier, and I'm Michael. But I've got a lot of his police awards from when he was on the job. And I've matched some of my stuff and been able to display it on the walls in the basement. You know,
and that's appropriate place.
Yeah, exactly. I saw that. So that's cool because I lost my dad in 2012. He passed from cancer. So
as did I, as my father did. So we have that in common too. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's neat, but back to the gadgets. It keeps me going. You know what I mean? I don't know. I cut the proverbial cord.
Yeah.
I got rid of cable. Yeah. So
I
now,
tell everybody to do it, by the way.
Yeah. So now
everybody that'll listen,
there's no TV. It's all internet based stuff now.
I tell everybody, when's the last time you were like rushing home because 9 p.m. was coming up and you had to watch Everybody Loves Raymond? Like, that's not that mindset anymore. It's just things around when you want them to.
Yeah. Well, that's it. It's all it's a la carte.
It's a la carte. It's binge watched.
Yeah,
and just sit there and yeah. I fall into it. I don't like falling into the entertainment trap of like getting sucked into the TV for 6 hours, but it's hard to get out of. Right? Like I want to be productive. I want my day to be fulfilling. But you need that little time to yourself for entertainment.
But what's been hard for me now with talking about entertainment, we're going a different direction, but. I'm a big believer. My protest is with my money. Mm. So if I agree or disagree with something, I will or won't spend my money on it. And now these actors are all becoming so opinionated. Like they're actors. Why are you now such a you're going to stand up for a cause? And,
that's my favorite.
So now I don't support an actor maybe because of they're overzealous. It's okay to have an opinion, but when they push and call me names because I don't believe what they believe, well, guess what? I'm not watching your show. I'm not spending your money, or I'm not buying your clothes. You know that
the power of your dollar is
that is a way that I can protest without causing a problem, but that's my personal happiness to protest that way. Does that make sense?
Sure. So their PR people have nightmare jobs.
Oh my God, yeah.
And they're like, don't talk political. Don't talk political. And you are a police officer at Woodhaven PD, and you even have to mind your P's and Q's a bit. And you know,
Well, the thing called freedom of speech doesn't exist with me.
so
In a lot of ways.
imagine being a public figure, right? You're a celebrity, and you're putting your political views out there, which I agree with you. Listen, if you sing your song. If you act, show me your movie. I don't care who you're voting for, what you're doing. That's well and good. Keep that personal, bro. I like what you're doing there. Like, I'm selling you my clothes. I'm not gonna tell you who to vote for just because I sell this shirt, right?
And that's what's happening, you know, with a lot of this, and that's why people, you know, are going, oh, hey, time out a minute, you know. So
I'm gonna cut myself short. If I'm voting for this guy, you don't want to buy my shirt anymore because you like this person, right? So like, why are you gonna sell yourself short?
true story. I mean, you got to be careful with that. I mean,
But then sometimes brands lock themselves into a. Do you need Red Bull? Do you
I know a couple pieces of ice there, sir. Just a couple.
Reach in there, it'd be all right.
Thank you.
I think that's all right.
That was my idea, by the way.
Oh, there we go, a little Red Bull. That was a good idea. I still need to plug this sink in. Frank, this is a. By the way,
I can do that too. I can hook that up for you, dude. I love it. So that's how we got. That's how we got on this. That's why we're here. Actually, is because I came in here to talk to you about doing some marketing stuff, and I was like blown away. I'm like, this is. I said, what are you doing? And you go, well, actually, this is what I'm doing. I go, well, let's talk. And now we're sitting here.
I love it.
But you asked me a question at the midway point there, and I wanted to bring this up to you.
Sure.
You said something about doing this, and I got an idea for you. So something a little different is.
I want to keep advertising this bottle.
My bad. The bike rides we do are a very large financial commitment to us.
Right.
So what we do is we do a fundraiser every year, and this year is going to be the 6th year of our fundraiser. So let me hit on this.
Absolutely.
This is going to be at the Woodhaven Community Center. It's going to be on March 21st.
I'll put it on the screen.
Okay.
I'll put it on the screen.
And we got the Sean Riley band's going to be there. Joe Maroon, for as long as I've done this, has donated his services to us every single year.
I love Joe because he's the best DJ now.
Oh my God, he's great.
He's fantastic.
He comes and he goes, "What do you need?" And he no questions asked, and he takes huge care of us. And we try to pay him, and he looks at us and says, "I'm going to hit you if you try to give me money." So March 21st at the Woodhaven Community Center at 7 o'clock. It's $20 at the door, and we have food and we have drinks. But the raffle is what crushes it. But we get it done early so you can dance and listen to the music.
Where can I be of service with OUTRun and what I do here?
Well, so
besides this podcast, so we have you on,
right? And I appreciate that. Thank you for your hospitality. Thanks for being the inaugural guy here. That means a lot to me.
A lot of respect to you, friend.
Thank you, sir. So one of the things that some of my other friends that have done in the bike ride, one of the things that they've done is they've gone to their local Meijer store and they set up their bicycles and they set up all the information and they put up like a tent or whatever
canopy.
And they ride their bikes and people can come and drop some donations in there. So I'm thinking, what if we pick a spot and we do an outside podcast?
Stationary bike ride, you mean?
Well, that's how
Is it a stationary deal? Like your setup in the basement would be set up under a canopy?
Exactly.
Okay.
So I think we should find a spot.
That'd be sick. Well, I know a spot in the corner of Real and Allen.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
I know a spot.
We set up some tents.
Maybe even Woodhaven, they might want to get in.
There you go. I'll get a couple guys and we'll ride some bikes. We'll get some literature on what we're doing. Because again, at the end of the day, our purpose is I want to make sure that those officers that gave that sacrifice, and when you think about it for a second, there was an officer killed yesterday, and then unfortunately,
you posted just before you came over. I'm literally scrolling and I see a post from you. 2
little children and a young wife, and their lives are changed forever. I mean,
this guy just left to go to work. He just left to go to work,
and it's horrible. But so our goal is we want people to understand that sacrifice that they've made, and have some care and some concern and some compassion for that family. I mean, I hate to put it in these terms. The officer unfortunately, they're gone, but the family lives on.
Sure.
And you don't just wait a couple of days and it gets better. It's a wound that doesn't ever heal.
No.
Maybe we set up in the parking lot and we inform some people that are coming through that busy parking lot what we're doing and why we're doing it. And maybe we get one person that goes, wow, and changes their perspective a little bit. So I that's what I propose. We do something, but you know what we do? We think of a neat way to incorporate it. And you and I talked. I said talk to you
for
about
your bike ride, absolutely.
Well, I talked about
jerseys
maybe trying to come up with some jerseys or something.
Is that what they call a bike rider's jersey? What do they call
jerseys.
that?
They're riding. It's a riding jersey.
Okay,
it's a jersey.
so absolutely with the jerseys, I'm definitely gonna work.
And I think, but because your thought process with with OUTRUN matches my thought process in the respect of what I'm trying to accomplish a remembrance, but I'm trying to further a cause. And you as well are trying to further something. You're trying to further your existence.
Absolutely.
Your life, your family. Exactly.
Yeah,
and so I think that the two really have a commonality.
I like it, absolutely. I'd love to be a part of it, man. I'm actually honored, man. So
consider yourself a part of it. How's that?
Appreciate it. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Frank.
And
Thank you
then
very
my
much. It was
friend,
fantastic, man.
There's
it was
that
a pleasure.
handshake right there, buddy.
Jesus, don't break it. Thanks a lot, man. Love it.
Thank you, sir. Love you too, buddy.
Take care.